Before moving to Ballston, my wife wished to go see her friends. I took my sleigh and horses and set out to see them. The first day of travel, the snow was so deep that we went 10 miles to get 5. The next day we set out again, and had not gone more than a mile and a half before we got mired down in snow. I had to take out one horse and put it before the other so we could travel down the mountain. But we found there was no road open where we wanted to go. We were obliged to turn up the river, thinking to find a good road to the upper bridge. But before we got halfway there, the road was entirely blocked up. A woman advised us to go across the river on the ice to Elisha Hollister's, which we did and stayed the night, only about 4 miles from where we had set out in the morning. The next day we went upriver on the ice to the upper bridge, and we went some way without any obstruction until we reached Blue Swamp. The following morning, we continued on for 11 miles until we reached Noah Garnsey's house, and then an additional 12 miles until we reached my father-in-law's. Just as we were getting ready to return home, my wife was taken very ill. We sent for Dr. Hilton, who, being destitute of medicine, ordered a compound and sent me to the apothecary to get it. I went to Dr. Smith's in Litchfield and retrieved the medicine. I returned to my wife at my father-in-law's house. She was so ill that it was thought best not to move her, so I returned to Sharon and made ready to move, leaving Meadabel with her father. I hired a man to go with me on sleigh and horse to Albany. From there, I hired my goods taken to Schenectady, and after I had gotten to my journey's end, I returned and fetched them myself. I traveled with Ebenezer Sprague, who had married my stepmother's daughter. By this time I thought it best to have little to do with Jeremiah Phelps as possible, so I bought a lot of land containing 95 acres. When the ways were settled in spring, I went on horseback and brought my wife and children to Ballston. We had not been there long before we had an alarm. The enemy came to Johnstown, within 24 miles, burned some of the houses and carried off some prisoners, which alarmed our settlement. Some people moved away, but I was resolved to stay. After things got a little still, I went to work, being very pleased with the country. I raised some corn, worked out 15 days of harvesting, and prepared 3 acres for rye. We used to attend meetings on the Sabbath at the house of Ebenezer Sprague. We had no preaching, but we used to sing, pray, and read. About the 12th of October, we had information that the enemy had taken Fort Anne, and that a deserter said that a party had gone to Ballston. Upon this information, we had a council. We sent for a company of militia, and being very stupid, we allowed ourselves to be lulled into a false sense of security.